The next item of business is to review a request made November 18th, 2021 for the Pride flag to be flown on the town hall on June 4th in conjunction with a Pride event that's scheduled for that day, June 4th. Let me give you just a bit of history on where we got, or how we got to today. Back in November, the request was brought forward to hold a Pride celebration in the Commons. It included closure of the North Side Road outside the town hall here, the use of food trucks and Veterans Field parking. All of those pieces were approved as part of that motion. It also sought the display of the Pride flag at the town hall, and that item was deferred because at the time we were in the process of evaluating and deciding upon a flag policy. That flag policy in January was eventually set aside. There was very extensive public input and both sides of the issue were represented. If I had to characterize the single theme that came across in it was the significance of the American flag to people that responded. And so that's where it stands, but I'd like to hear from others as to your opinions and how we ought to proceed.
Sorry, I'm just settling in here.
Yeah.
If there are other comments, you can go ahead. I'm trying to find something. Sorry.
But I think it should just be the American flag. That's just my opinion, and everybody I've talked to from both sides of the issue, nobody has a problem with the American flag. The only contention comes up when we stop flying other flags. I did some very limited research and found out that there's 96 Pride flags for all different variations. So who are we excluding if we just put up the one? Are we excluding other groups? Or is, I don't understand it, to be honest with you. But with 96 different flags, where does it end? And it's unfortunate it comes to an emotional issue, but I can just see the American flag there. That's the unifying flag for everybody. That doesn't differentiate between the pride, race, religion. It's the unifying flag. That's just my opinion. I think it should just be the American flag.
I will say I disagree with the council president's interpretation of the minutes from the meeting that we had back in November, where this first came up before the council. I'm going to read the motion that was made back then. It said, motion made by Councilor Golembeski, receiving a second by Councilor Eriarte De Moore, voting all in favor to approve the request from Megan Gonzalez and Jenna Magnowski, co-presidents, and Raul Eriarte De Moore, vice president of Love Wins, seeking permission to hold an event on June 4th, 2022 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. using the north side of the Commons with food trucks and Veterans Field for backup parking. This vote approves this request subject to conformance with license as described in Chapter 6 and the flag policy once established in Chapter 11. So we didn't necessarily table the request. According to this, we approved the whole request subject to conformance with Chapter 6 and Chapter 11. Since we don't have a flag policy on the books, we really already have our own working policy based on our past votes, including a vote we took in April to fly the Armenian pride flag, or the Armenian flag, I'm sorry. So I think that based on the precedent that we've already set to fly both the pride flag last year and the Armenian flag for the last 20 plus years, I think we've already set precedent that we allow other flags to be flown on the flagpole. And in addition, I think it's just the right thing to do. So I'm going to make a motion to fly the pride flag as requested on June 4th.
I'm happy to second it.
The motion's made and seconded to fly the flag. Any discussion?
I just have a discussion. Andrew, you brought up the minutes of November, and it wasn't tabled. I'll ask the solicitor, can you weigh in on that? on,
I haven't looked at the minutes from the meeting. I wasn't at that meeting.
do you have those minutes for the solicitor?
I haven't.
Yeah, what's the question that you
I'm just, I mean, you said it was tabled, and you said it wasn't tabled. I was just wondering if the solicitor could weigh in on that.
I think the motion was made, but any discussion on the flag was going to wait till we have a flag policy. So now that we don't have a flag policy because none was ever instituted, the general practice is to let the council decide. Now, when it comes to the Armenian flag, they asked to have it flown, and we didn't fly it. The Armenian flag was not flown this year.
We approved the flying of the flag. though.
No, we approved a resolution. We didn't approve flying the flag. So, because that's what came up last year. If you can do it for one person, you do it for everybody. So if we're not going to do it for one flag, I don't think we should do it for any flags.
Any other discussion here?
We've already set the precedent for 20 years.
My question was, Counselor, do you see that tabled? Did we, like,
That was the table, that was voted on.
Right.
So, yeah, all I see is, I wasn't here.
yeah,
So it says voted November 18th, 2021, semicolon, flag policy failed to be adopted. That's what it says. I don't see the word table anywhere.
Andrew, your interpretation is different
Of which one?
of the flag, the pride flag was not tabled or,
We didn't table the vote. We accepted, we voted in favor of the request subject to Chapter 6 and Chapter 11.
okay.
The literal words are, this vote approves this request subject to conformance with license as described in Chapter 6 and the flag policy once established in Chapter 11. So we needed to have conformance with both of those in order to take action on the flag policy. When there isn't a flag policy and the decision not only of the council, but the response from the public is the council should decide that. That's why I'm proposing that tonight it is ours to decide. It's not something that we have failed to do. Yes, sir.
Larry, so what you just asserted is a flag policy.
Correct.
Okay, just so we're clear. So that should clear
That,
when
that's
was
my,
that
ass-
adopted?
my
When was that
assertion.
adopted? When was that adopted? Because now, you said that there's consensus on the American flag, and Paul made a similar comment. That's a position that's true you've taken, but it's not the council's flag policy. The council hasn't adopted that as a policy.
The consensus is that what we heard in the public hearing was, there was no one who said we shouldn't fly the American flag on the building. My point is, it was the thing that had consensus. The rest of the suggestions did not have consensus. That's my observation. That's not a statement of the council's position.
It's not the council's policy.
It is not the council's policy. The council must now take a vote, and one is on the table. Is there any further discussion? Are you ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
The motion does not carry. Let me be clear of what I am saying about my impression. And that is, when we stood just a few minutes ago to pledge allegiance, we spoke of the allegiance that we are pledging to the country, by extension, the town. And then we say, under God. And we say that because we're acknowledging there's some power that's greater than we are, that is guiding our attitudes. And a person is free, obviously, to choose to say, I don't believe that, but that's what we're pledging. And then we say it's indivisible, nothing divides us. So it's our obligation, it would seem to me, to make sure that nothing divides us. Finally, it's liberty and justice for all, not for some. It's for all. And therefore, we are saying publicly, that's what we believe. And that's why we believe it. Yes.
First, I would like to register my serious disappointment with the fact that you failed to acknowledge that I wish to speak prior to your vote. Second, our email correspondence on this issue over the last several weeks really caught me by surprise. In this correspondence, we sought to simply confirm our arrangements. We were told by Town Administrator Teixeira that the matter must be taken up by the Town Council. Yet the motion unanimously adopted by this body on November 18th included, quote, "This vote approves these requests subject to conformance with the license as described in Chapter 6 and the flag policy once established in Chapter 11. When I replied that our request conformed with the policy, given that the flag ordinance was tabled indefinitely, I never received a reply. It has been 9 disappointing days without so much as a, "We plan to address this at the next town council meeting." And frankly, the fact that this matter was not at all discussed with the town solicitor in advance, given that you have had 9 days of notice about this correspondence which went to the full council, is a dereliction of your duty. I don't think that it's any secret that several of you and I do not have the same politics, but we've been able to work together for the benefit of this place that we all love so much, to make it a more perfect town, which benefits our state and moves our country toward that more perfect union that we are pledging our allegiance to. My experience with each of you in the past has been that you're men of conviction and integrity who honor your word. Beyond any legal requirement, you should be holding to your own word. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I feel strongly that this is a huge disappointment and betrayal in a way. What happened last year was very commendable. What happened today is a disgrace in my view. Councillor Golembeski talks about 93 whatever flags. He hides behind the words, "my word." Well, who else is he speaking for other than himself? That is absolute nonsense. If you want to do it, you can do it. And with regard to the flag, you're perfectly right what it stands for. But do you, as a reasonable person, believe that we've perfected our country yet? This is aspirational, what our flag stands for. It's not what we have. And that's why fighting for pride flags is critical for the future of our country. I'm ashamed of this sort of thing.
Anyone else?
Whole business 3.
The next item of business is a request from Robert Humphrey for